Welcome back. We're discussing the prorogation of Canadian Parliament here in 2025 under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And joining me is John Carpay, President of the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms. John, we were discussing the role of the Governor General and the role with respect to forming government or calling on a party to form government and allowing prorogation to continue. And I appreciate your points. If the governor had intervened, or if the government had said, you know what, no, I decline to hear your advice, Mr. Prime Minister, and we are not going to prorogue Parliament, that could be seen as a heavy-handed approach by the Queen, or in this case, the King's representative. But what is the point of having that power of the Governor General to say yes or no if they can't exercise it for the fear of seeming dictatorial, if you will, and using an undemocratic means to achieve, I think, what everybody in this country thinks was an unnecessary prorogation?
Well, I mean, this gets into the heart of, do we want to continue with a constitutional monarchy where the king or the queen is the symbolic head of the nation who unites people, so that, everybody can love the queen, but from time to time we throw out the government, and anything that goes wrong, we blame the government, but everything that goes right, we thank the queen. There's this whole, huge topic of the monarchy, which we probably can't get into too deeply, but the way it's working now is that the king is a figurehead, and therefore the Governor General, by extension, as a representative of the king, is expected to follow the advice of the Prime Minister. We had in 2008, when Prime Minister Stephen Harper prorogued Parliament to avoid a transition to a new Liberal NDP bloc majority, where there's this idea that they would switch over and ditch the minority Conservative government and create a new Liberal government propped up by the Bloc and the NDP in 2008. And Stephen Harper prorogued Parliament, which prevented that from moving ahead. The question there too is the Governor General at the time just simply went along with that. If there had been a court action at that time, it may have resulted in a different government.
It's true. And then you would have had precedent for this next go. We'd have had something. I remember the King Byng affair, and perhaps, obviously, you've had to have researched that for at least your court action. How is that? Well, the GG interfered there, or it took action there, or declined advice from the Prime Minister there. That made a huge momentous mark in history. Are we trying to avoid something like that?
Well, presumably, yes, because that was a case where there was a loss of confidence, and the King Byng affair, the Governor General said, well, we're not going to have an election right now. We're going to ask the opposition party to try and form government with other parties. And it created a big uproar with, I'm sure, divided opinions. Some people thought it was great. Some people thought it was terrible. But since that time, we have this tradition where the Governor General is expected to follow the advice of the Prime Minister, and that's it. He or she is there to just be a symbol of national unity and serve the purposes of a monarch in a constitutional monarchy. So our court action, we sidestep that. We're not arguing for or against the the monarchy. That's not what the court case is about.
No.
But we are saying that it was the advice given to the Governor General that was illegal. So we're going after the Prime Minister on this. We're not going after the Governor General by arguing in court that she ought to have rejected the Prime Minister's advice.
Right.
We're not arguing that.
No, and that makes sense, especially given what happened in the UK. That makes sense. I still think it's shocking. I still personally think that if you want to resign from the job, then resign from the job and let's get going. Because there were a lot of important legislative issues, bills that were in front of the government, some that I would have loved to see discussed further in committee. I was very happy some of them died. I was not so happy that some of them did. And I think Canadians want a functioning government. They don't want to pay, 300 plus MPs to sit at home for yet another extension on their Christmas break, which seems like this is never ending, not doing the business that we've charged them to do. And unfortunately, I feel that this is just going to foment greater distrust of our elected politicians. Anyhow, we'll be back in just a few moments.